I'm Carlton Wing along with Taylor Carr, and today we're joining you from the FLW Tour Championship.
We come to you from Lake Logan Martin in Alabama, about 30 miles east of Birmingham. Anglers know this lake well. There have been 3 world championships here, and the fishing here is outstanding. It's considered one of the best bass fisheries in the U.S.
And we've got the best anglers in the U.S. at this tournament as well. The top 48 pros from the 2004 season qualified to get here, headlined by our Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year, Shinichi Fukai. This is his rookie season. He comes to his first championship ranked #1.
Later in the show, Hank Parker will talk with 3 pros who compete in this event. Here's Hank with a preview.
Hey, thanks, guys. Boy, I tell you, we've got a great lineup today. We've got pedigree pro Greg Pugh, who is kind of a local favorite, spent a lot of time on Logan Martin, and he's a deep water guy. He's really looking at the humps and the ledges, and he's going to try to catch these fish out in the deeper water. To complete contrast to that, we've got BF Goodrich pro David Walker, who hadn't really spent hardly any time on Logan Martin, but he feels his strength is fishing shallow. So he's already made the commitment, Hank, I'm going to be fishing shallow, you can count on it. And then we've got the most analytical guy on the whole pro circuit in Fuji Pro, Randy Blockett. Randy hadn't fully committed to shallow water, but I think that's the way he's leaning. It's a great lineup. It's going to be interesting to watch these guys throughout the Tour Championship.
And of course, Hank cuts up with those guys, but they catch some fish and really show us something about Lake Logan Martin.
All right, well, let's show you something a little bit about this head-to-head format in the FLW Tour Championship. Matchup style until the final day. Here's a closer look. The most exciting event in professional fishing is back and better than ever. The $1.5 million 2004 FLW Tour Championship will feature the best anglers of the year angling for the payday of a lifetime, $500,000. It's a life-changing event in a thrilling head-to-head format that's a first in this sport. It's angler against angler for the best prize in the sport. The top seed will face the 48th seed in the first round, and the second seed will meet number 47, and so on through the bracket. Winners in the first round will advance to the semifinals for more head-to-head action. Then on the final day, the final 12 anglers will all fish for the big money, $500,000. Here's a look at some of the fun matchups. How about Greg Hackney, who is having the season of a lifetime, against Todd Airy, the local angler with the opportunity of a lifetime. Other fun matchups include 2 Tennessee anglers, BF Goodrich pro David Walker against Fuji pro Wesley Strader, and 2 Florida pros. There's hotshot rookie Glenn Brown against Okeechobee's Kobe Krieger. As you can tell, it's a big event for the anglers and also a big event for the fans. Mark the dates on your calendar. The FLW Tour Championship, August 11th through the 14th in Birmingham, Alabama. You'll see history when one angler walks away with the title and a $500,000 payday. Coming up on FLW Outdoors, we're going to give you a sneak peek of the brand new Ranger Z Comanche.
And you get the lowdown on Logan Martin from local pro Matt Herron, who catches a nice Coosa River spotted bass. You won't want to miss it. Coming up on FLW Outdoors. Here's this week's Field and Stream Trivia. Who was the winner of the first FLW Tour Championship in 1996? Was it Mike Sermon, David Fritz, Steve Daniel, or Davey Height? The answer coming up on FLW Outdoors. The Field and Stream Trivia answer is C. Team Evinrude Pro Steve Daniel won $18,500 on Lake Sinclair to become the first FLW Tour champion in 1996. Lake Logan Martin, site of the 2004 FLW Championship, and somewhere in this 48-mile impoundment, bass worth $500,000 to some FLW pro. Now, Logan Martin is a big-time fishery. It's rich in fishing history, and it has lots of variety, lots of deep water structure, and plenty of shallow water to fish, too. Plus, Logan Martin has tons of fish. Logan Martin is really 2 lakes in one, starting at the north end at the Neely Henry Dam. This part of the lake is really simply the Coosa River itself. Now, the dam plays a key role in how the lake fishes because the water it generates determines lake level and current. The second part of Logan Martin starts at about the I-20 bridge where the Coosa River spreads out. The lower portion has more open water with points and shallow flats and deeper structure. Logan Martin can be a very good structure lake. Again, current plays a role with more water flow concentrating the fish on that structure. Boat docks also figure to be a key for some pros. Logan Martin has more than 1,000 and they're mostly on the lower end. So you see what we mean by variety. Well, let's get a pro's perspective on how Logan Martin's going to fish for the FLW Championship. And we get it from Matt Herron of Trussville, Alabama. Matt has fished 2 years on tour, and already he's finished 11th and 9th in the season standings. Matt's on the lake now in the Walmart boat. And Matt, I'm guessing you're pretty pumped about fishing on a body of water that you know so well.
Yeah, I truly am. Who would ever thought that the championship would come home to Logan Martin, where I'd get an opportunity to be home and compete in front of family and friends and get to fish a lake that I know so well.
Matt, you're competing against 47 of the best pro fishermen in the world. What is one bait or one pattern you would not want to do without this week?
It'd undoubtedly have to be the same technique I've relied on my whole life. It'd be a flipping stick and docks or brush or any type of flipping water.
Well, let's learn some of the secrets of Logan Martin from Trussville, Alabama's Matt Herron.
This would be a prime example of a dock that the pros would be fishing here at Logan Martin. The shallow wood structure, and the key places on it's going to be anywhere that there's shade or brush available to these fish. It's just a little handmade jig that I make myself. It's a little 1/2 ounce that I make at home. This little black and brown with a green pumpkin trailer. Color doesn't seem to be as big an issue as the location of the fish. Most of the time on a structure lake, the fish really seem to tend to hold really tight to the bottom and to the brush and to the rocks and the natural cover that's available. But in August on the Coosa River, there's such a tremendous threadfin population that when there's no generation or no current, these big spots and big largemouth in this lake area tend to come up and roam and chase bait. Good Lord, look at them, the schooling bass. They're on the back side of this road bed. That's a big spot right there, you see? These, in the summertime, when they're generating no current, these fish, they come up on top of this structure and they suspend. That's a pretty good fish. This is what you call a Magnum Coosa River spotted bass. They're found nowhere else in the country, this particular breed of fish. They're an incredible species of the bass family. And this particular type species of fish is going to be a key ingredient in the FLW Championship at Logan Martin. And finally, watch out for the jighead worm. There are so many ways to fish this bait on the Coosa River, it's unbelievable. It'll be fished deep on structure, shallow on docks, shallow on rocks. It can be fished in so many wide variety of shapes, forms, and fashions. And it's a consistent fish catching bait. Y'all excuse me for just a minute. That's just a little 12-inch Coosa River spotted bass. But he bit the shaky head. This thing is going to be lethal in this tournament.
Matt, that's some really good insight into this fishery, but we have not talked about this weather. It is August. You and I are both soaked through. A heat could really be a factor.
Heat's going to be a big factor. The guys that can block the heat out and fight through it and focus on the fishing are going to do well. The guys that can't aren't.
Your first round opponent is Jacob Peraznik. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Matt Herron, Trussville, Alabama. Now more on that weather in our banana boat outdoor conditions. The first 2 days partly cloudy with lows in the 60s and highs in the 80s, a UV index of 5. Then for Friday and Saturday, cooling off with lows down to the upper 50s and highs in the low 80s. Look for 4 for a UV index. So it looks like along with catching fish, stamina in this heat will be a factor on Logan Martin. Let's get more on the competition now. Hank Parker standing by with one of our pros.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. I'm joining Greg Pugh out here on the water, fishing some deep water structure. Now, Greg, you're one of the few local guys. You got a lot of knowledge. You know every hump and hill in this whole lake. Tell us a little bit about what's going on, what's going through your head, how you're setting your strategy, and what we're doing fishing out here in the middle of the lake.
We're out here fishing a ledge right now. It's an old dam is what it is, where it comes off and drops off out here in the channel. It's got rocks and stumps on it. The spotted bass down here on this Coosa River chain, they love this type of structure. It's all about timing on these humps. You know, it's
Timing because the shad don't always stay on the bottom.
That's right.
They just go there on certain occasions, but you don't know exactly why the fish end up going, the shad end up going. You know what makes the fish hit, but
Right.
you don't know what makes the shad go deep.
Right. These Coosa River spots, they're a little bit different. When they make their mind up to get it, they'll get it.
I'm trying to persuade one to make his mind up.
The main things that it seems like I'm going to be fishing with right now is the Carolina rig, the leadhead that you're talking about, the big Sudeth S1 crankbait, which will dive down there in that 17, 18
So you
foot.
are throwing a big crankbait
Yes, sir.
in the mix, okay?
I'm throwing it in a mix, and also I'm throwing a jig. So, you know, I'm to the point to where if it's meant for me to do it, I'll do it. And
Look at this. Look at this big Coosa River. Spotted bass, get in here!
you ain't going to call that that's a speck. That's not a spot.
Oh, really?
He's got to get up to 2 pounds for you, and that's
Hey, let me just tell you, can I say something to you?
that's your last worm.
You see that right there? It takes so much more talent to catch a fish this size in the wind, in the current, to detect the bite, to know that you've actually had that strike. Did you see
I saw that, but
that
now,
impress you?
what are you going to use for bait?
Well, I've got a little piece of meat on there. See that? Let me get serious for a minute. You're paired up with Dave Lefebvre.
Yes, sir.
He has never, ever seen Logan Martin. Does that make you feel a little more confident? Or
Well, I don't know about making me feel a little more confident, but Dave Lefebvre, he's a great fisherman, and he's one of those guys that we was talking about earlier that can pull up, put the trolling motor down, and catch these fish off the docks with a jig. So,
is it true that in the Birmingham paper you took out an ad that said, "Follow me, I can show you all the tricks, Dave Lefebvre"?
you know, that's a good idea, and that may be something I have to do. That is a real good idea.
All boats welcome, follow me, I am the man.
That's it.
Greg Pugh, I'll tell you what, some great information. I really appreciate it. Got a lot of pressure on you, but some way I think you can handle it.
I'm going to try to, and I sure appreciate you having me on, Mr. Parker, and it's been an honor.
A lot of fun. I tell you, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more FLW Outdoors, and we're going to be joined by BF Goodrich Pro David Walker coming up right after this.
David Dudley's going to go to his live well and bring out his fish. Here we go. David Dudley bringing up his 5th and final fish, trailing by 2.6, which is our magic number.
2 pounds, 6 ounces. We put our Castro Pro David Dudley into the lead. It's going to be close.
It's going to be within ounces.
He says it's going to be within ounces. Let's watch it close. This fish weighs in at 2 pounds, 9 ounces, 2.9, a new leader.
All right. David, stay with us right here. David is now our leader. He leads by 4 ounces, folks. 4 ounces separates David Dudley from Harmon Davis, and we have a champion. David Dudley, your 2003 FLW Tour champion. Here is your check, $500,000 richer.
You've already met 2 of the local pros in the FLW Championship, Greg Pugh and Matt Herron.
There's also Birmingham native Todd Airy, a Team Tyson pro who wanted more than anything to make this championship so he could fish on his home water.
He did make it, but just barely, though, at 47th place. So that means he's matched up against probably the hottest non-Japanese angler in the world, Yamaha pro Greg Hackney.
Now, the Hackney-Airy matchup is real interesting because back in March, Hackney made the finals at the Old Hickory event with a huge sack the second day. Now, Todd Airy missed the cut, so he and his friend Jason Kilpatrick watched Greg fish that final day.
And what you're about to see are the candid observations of Todd Airy and Jason Kilpatrick as they watch pro Greg Hackney fish on Old Hickory.
You know, we don't come out today to find out where someone's fishing, but there's things that you overlook during practice. There's patterns. Hackney's a veteran now, and Todd and I are out here on our second season, and there's still a lot to be learned from these guys. And coming out today, he'll show us a couple of things, and some of the other guys will show us a few things that, you know, next year on some other body of water somewhere, there'll be another couple of patterns that we have to eliminate or check out during practice. And that's just how you learn.
Man, you imagine yanking a 4, 5, 6 pounder up out of that gator weed. One of the great things about him is he makes it a point to do what he likes to do everywhere he goes.
Boy, that's the truth. Smith Lake, deep, clear, rocky impoundment, and he goes and flips up 16, 18 pounds or whatever it was.
Something to be learned there.
He's smooth.
He does his own thing, man. He don't care. That's what it takes out here.
Something to be interesting, too, is to see how long he spends here without a bite.
Yeah, you hear things about certain guys' tendencies and the way they fish. You have a tendency to always assume that they're catching them a certain way when they do catch them. And it was kind of a shocker to me to see him doing this. I kind of figured he'd be flipping some thick wood or, you know, casting a jig or something like that.
He's keying on grass, and I think most of the field was keying on rock like Todd and I were. And another thing is, too, even this morning, he's only had one bite. And when you come and watch a great angler like Hackney, who's having a great couple of years, he's showing you right here, even when you're struggling, that he's going super, super slow. And he's not getting shook up at all, and he's taking his time. He's got a lot of confidence, obviously, in this area.
It's an insight to the versatility that he has, especially to come back on the second ever event. You know, I'm not for sure that they really practiced like this that much.
Greg Hackney ended up 4th at Old Hickory, and all 3 of those pros, Hackney, Erie, and Kilpatrick, made the FLW Championship.
Another angler who made the championship is another angler worth watching, BF Goodrich pro David Walker, and he's with Hank Parker right now.
Thanks, Taylor and Carlton. Hey, I'm fishing with BF Goodrich pro David Walker, a great shallow water fisherman and a guy who has not had any practice on Logan Martin, so I'm looking forward to this. How about it, David?
Good. I am too. You know some good spots we can go try.
I'm excited about fishing with you, man. I've heard so much about your mechanics and your ability to fish this shallow water, so I'm anxious to see it.
Well, I'm looking forward to fishing with you. I've heard about you before, you know. Here we go. What we got here? A largemouth.
That is a bass fish.
A largemouth.
So you got the history of the lake here. There's been 3 championship tournaments held on the lake. 2, you figure, have been one deep, 1's been one shallow, so you're saying can be one either way.
I think it can be one either or. And the amount of cover that there is shallow, surely there's enough fish shallow to be competitive with a guy who's fishing deep, I would think. Now that old grass right there,
It's capable of producing a fish even in the hot summertime.
You're absolutely right. When you're fishing shallow and fishing a jig, but there's one thing about it, you got to get that into your, you got to be pretty stubborn, which I think I am, kind of long-headed.
That's what I'm looking for. Now you're going to tell me the deal.
You've got to be stubborn knowing that, okay, I've got 8 hours, I got to catch 5 fish. If I can get 1 bite every hour and a half, then I'm right on key.
To me, I respect that as one of the most difficult ways to fish.
See, and I looked at it as just the only way he knows how to fish. He don't know what he's doing. He only does one thing all the time.
Tell me about a good-looking dock.
Age has got a lot to do with docks. The older docks are going to be wood, and wood is good. But that makes a good-looking dock. You see them old ones like that one up there in front of us. It's got that old grass growing on the sides of it.
Looks pretty sexy there.
That's a good-looking dock right there.
What weight jig do you use? Now we're fishing primarily 1.5 foot to 4 foot of water.
I'll use a 1/2 ounce jig most of the time.
that's just the weight that I'm comfortable with. I like the rate of fall. And sometimes you want a faster jig because those fish want it, want the bait going by real quickly. I'll start with the half and kind of work from there, see how the fish are acting, and if it seems like I can get away with a heavier one, I'll do it.
David, I tell you what, buddy, everybody's told me how good you are at this game, and I am very much impressed. This is a heck of a deal.
Well, thanks, Hank. Impressing you is only second to winning this tournament.
I appreciate it. Hey, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be right back, and we're going to look at some new product from Evinrude and Ranger coming up next on FLW Outdoors.
Welcome back, everyone, as we count down the FLW Championship on Lake Logan Martin in Alabama.
It's always exciting when companies come out with new products. We've got two products that are going to change the way you fish. We'll start off with Evinrude, a new outboard that we got a sneak peek of at Lake Champlain, the last stop on the FLW Tour. The wide open waters of Lake Champlain provided the final proving area for the soon-to-be-released Evinrude E-Tech, a 21st century name for an outboard perfectly suited for today's modern angler.
E-Tech is a new technology that's a result of going to the marketplace and asking the customers that use our product, what do you want out of your upper motor? What do you want your motor to do? We're here to get the feedback from the pros and say, test drive this motor. Tell us what you think of it. If you wanted to change something right now, what would it be?
On this particular week in New York, the Evinrude Pro staff got a chance to approve the E-Tech, running it through a simulated tournament day. Now, here are some comments from the guys who make their living on the water. And the first was just how quiet it is.
When we were running wide open, we realized that it's not motor noise that you're hearing, it's the wind. It's the wind around you. And I mean, before you never really paid attention to that. It was the roar of the motor behind you, and now it's just the air. The 3-star deal is pretty amazing, that it meets the same standards as 4-strokes and stuff. And let's face it, around the world, wherever we go, like Lake Champlain here, it's such a pristine place, and it means a lot to people. So it's definitely going to be a home run in the outboard market, that's for sure.
The product is easy to own and easy to operate. It's very clean and very quiet. It has very high levels of durability, quality, and reliability. And it has distinctive BRP styling that looks as great as it works.
This is not the latest evolution of the fixed system. This is brand new technology, from the acoustically designed airbox to injectors which work twice as fast as others. It does all this while earning the 3-star ultra-low emissions rating.
You've been involved in the process for so long, it's like your baby. And you've been there from the conceptual stages, and this is the exciting part. Bringing what we've been working on, what the customers told us they wanted, kind of molding that and shaping it, and now bringing it out here and having the pros tell us what they think. That's exciting.
Look at this. Huh?
That's another cool thing about it. When you turn it on, I mean, it's just immediate. It just kicks
And as
on.
old as I am, I need a quiet motor to have a conversation,
Yeah.
Ranger has always been the benchmark for bass boats on the water, and now that mark is raised even higher still. Here's a first look at the brand new Ranger Z Comanche.
Hi, I'm Hank Parker, and I'm standing here with the president of Ranger Boats, Randy Hopper. And Randy, you guys told me you were going to give me a sneak preview of the Z Comanche, and this thing is absolutely awesome. It has exceeded my expectations.
That's great, Hank, and we do. It's totally redesigned from bow to stern. It's just a tremendous performer, and we're so happy to be here to
walk
share.
me through these features. Wow, man. No knees in the steering wheel. Look at all this room. And the dash, man, alive. Awesome.
It really is. We've designed those multifunction instruments. Our goal was to get a real, racy looking instrument, but we wanted elegance. It's what Ranger stands for, and I think we got it. It looks like the face of a watch.
Well, these channels may make it waterproof, but they sure give it a good look as well. Show me how this works.
The lock is outside the lid instead of on the lid. That requires a hole to drill that we don't have to worry about waterproofing. The lock pops up the lid, just raise it up. We put our seal on the top, made the seal 30% higher, and therefore we try to waterproof it. And just a
slam latch. So, like your car door.
Randy, we pushed for time. In a word, incredible. I'm so impressed, I can't express it.
Thanks, we appreciate it. We're really excited about what lies ahead for the Z Comanche.
Well, now you've met some of the first fans of those new Ranger boats, and you can expect those Z Comanches to be idling into a dealership near you real soon.
Let's get back to our championship preview now. You know, last year the event was held on the James River in Richmond. This year, Alabama's Logan Martin. When we come back, a look at the FLW Championship 2003.
Here's this week's Ask a Pro question. Sean Rose of Syracuse, New York asks, what advice do you have for fishing a weightless worm? Well, Sean, we get your answer from one of the masters with the weightless worm, Gary Yamamoto.
Thanks, Sean. This is our Kinami baits, and this is one of my favorite baits to use. It's a weightless worm. I like to rig a Texas rig with a straight hook, and one of the reasons for that is I use a heavy rod myself, or you can use an EWG type hook, which will give you the versatility of using a lighter rod and a lighter line. I guess it's become a popular bait because it's so simple to use. Let the bait work itself. As it's falling, it'll undulate and do its own thing. You don't have to jerk the bait or put the action to the bait. And so just cast it out there, and as it's falling, most of the strikes will occur. But if it doesn't occur at that point, pick it up, move it 2 or 3 feet, and let it back down again.
Hi, I'm Rob Kilby, and this week's boat tip is watch your weight. No, I'm not talking about my figure. I'm talking about the weight in your boat, how to balance your boat out so you get the best performance. And you want to keep the heavy items to the rear and light items to the front. And what I mean by that is taking your life jackets or rain suits, clothes, anything that doesn't weigh much, rods and reels even doesn't weigh a lot, and then put them in the front and get your heavy stuff like worm weights, plastic worms, jigs, spinnerbaits, all the heavy items, and keep those in the rear. And by doing that, it changes the balance of the boat and actually improve the performance of your boat. Now that we have your weight distributed, you're going to have more performance. Not only speed, but ride.
I'm excited now.
We're fishing for $500,000!
Day 3 of the Big Money FLW Championship. There are 12 head-to-head matchups for spots in the finals. The pairing of Kellogg's Pro Clark Wendland and Chevy Pro Kevin Van Dam drew the most attention. Between them, 3 FLW Angler of the Year titles and a boatload of wins in big-time events, plus a ton of competitive spirit.
Kevin's one of the best fishermen in the world, and you know, it's one of those things you kind of got to put out of your mind because you got to catch fish no matter what.
Van Dam was closer to home, fishing the Highway 10 bridge at the mouth of the Appomattox.
We're going to have real strong wind today, so I know the tide's going to come back in real hard. So I would like to, fish the last 2 hours of the outgoing tide and have it fall like it normally does.
Yamaha Pro Greg Hackney was near Wendland in the Chickahominy, and he'd need a good day to beat Tommy Biffle.
I've been catching most of all my fish flipping, but I caught them in practice during this weather, throwing a buzzbait and a spinnerbait, so I'm hoping this morning they'll get back on that deal.
Upriver again, and local favorite John Cruz.
Net. Stay on now. Come on, fish. Get it. Well, there's a start there, folks.
What were you doing there, John?
Talking. I was talking and not moving my bait. Maybe that was the key. There he is.
It was a good day for Cruz. He went on to catch 9-8 and carried the Virginia flag into the finals. Van Dam won 2, catching 6-12 to Wendland's 2-3. Hackney had 14 pounds and barely beat Biffle. Joining them in the finals, Alvin Shaw, Larry Nixon, Cody Bird, Harmon Davis, David Dudley, Jimmy Millsaps, Shad Skank, Rob Kilby, and Paul Elias.
Day 4. The James River saves some of her toughest fishing for the 12 finalists on Championship Day. Anglers such as Larry Nixon, Paul Elias, David Dudley, and Kevin Van Dam know all about winning big events, but could that experience help them through the tough tidal waters on a rainy day 4? One of the finalists would catch a 5-fish limit. No one could muster a 10-pound stringer. Angler after angler dropped out of the shootout-style weigh-in. When Ranger Pro Rob Kilby bowed out in 3rd place, it left Oklahoman Harmon Davis against Castrol Pro David Dudley. Davis owned the lead when Dudley brought up his 5th and final fish. He bested Harmon's weight by 3 ounces, and the Oklahoma Pro was out of fish.
David Dudley, your 2003 FLW Tour champion. Here is your check, $500,000 richer.
Castrol Pro David Dudley has cashed the 2 largest paychecks in bass fishing history, and this week he's going for number 3.
So how does Dudley approach his next shot at big money? Well, typically, Dudley is open-minded.
I approach every lake the same. You know, I don't have a closed mind, because if you come in with a closed mind to a lake, then you've limited yourself anyway. So I'm gonna have an open mind to shallow water from what I understand. What I see, there's some docks and grass, so of course the consideration of a shallow water bite might be there. And then, you know, typically in the summertime, you're here out, it's hot, they're probably out, some out deep. So I'm not focused, dead centered on one particular strong pattern versus the other. I got a open mind on doing things.
Coming up on FLW Outdoors, Hank Parker fishes with Randy Blockett, and they go way back to Randy's early days in pro fishing.
Hey, welcome back, and we're preparing for the Tour Championship on Logan Martin. I'm with Fuji Pro and old pal Randy Blockett. We're sitting here reminiscing about old times.
Hank, very first day of my entire career, we fished together at Lake Ontario, 1985, wasn't it? And here's a picture right here. This is September 1985, and we had just walked off the weigh-in scale, and I think we're both signing autographs. And I'm excited as can be. You know, I'm 22 years old, and Hank Parker is my first draw ever in my career, and great way to start out a career.
That's pretty neat. I'll tell you, Randy, I noticed the very first day that I fished with you, you were very, very articulate. You were very, very focused and paid attention to every little minute detail. And of course, you've become famous for that now. You're the most analytical guy, or at least one of them, on the tournament circuit, and you're really involved in every aspect of fishing. You've maintained that for 20 years, 19 years. How have you done that?
Well, ever since I started out, ever since I can remember really, I'm 6, 7 years old, you know, I've loved to fish, and I really started getting interested in tournament fishing when I was in grade school, reading a lot of the magazines. That was back when tournament fishing was sort of in its infancy. And there's something about it that really appealed to me. And as I got older, I got more interested, more involved with it, and became a real student of the sport, a real student of not necessarily bass fishing, but tournament style bass fishing, which there's a big difference between the tournament mindset and just the recreational mindset. And the tournament competition really appealed to me, a lot of different reasons. And I've really tried to grow as an angler. I've really tried to grow every aspect that has anything to do with bass fishing.
A lot of guys ask, got him?
That fish was sort of suspended. Not a keeper, but a largemouth. I mean, that was one thing that was really neat. You know, I had a chance to fish with, you know, yourself and several of the real top pros early in my career. And I really got to see how you ran your water and how you let your day unfold and how, you know, how you'd maximize the water.
When you come here for the Tour Championship, a big deal, you know, a tournament that everybody that's ever fished in their life competitively would love to win. Not to mention the $500,000, which would be an awesome payday for anybody. Sure. Are you going to totally commit to shallow water? You're not even going to consider going out on the hump, the ledges. You're not going to do that. You know when you come here, I'm going to stay with it, and I'm going to find those little salties at work.
Well, that is my plan at this point. Obviously, I don't like to get locked into something 100% completely, but going into this practice period, I mean, my game plan is to focus on shallow water 100%. Now, a lot of that has to do with getting hit by those right type of fish that really give you the confidence to stay that way. Man, that's pulling.
What have I got a hold of here?
That fish is making some turns like, oh, that's a good one, Hank. Jeez.
Big bass fish.
That's a nice one.
Spotted bass.
Spotted bass. Now, see, I think that the tournament can be won almost with just that grade of fish, you know, for you know, a 4-day period. This time of year, that's a nice chunk there. Look at that.
Spotted bass.
That's about a 2-pound, 12-ounce or 213.
213. Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess. A lot of people won't stay with the jig this time of year because you don't get a lot of bites on it, and you sort of have to make a mental commitment to fish for 5 bites a day. And a lot of times when you get out here and it's 100 degrees and you haven't had a bite for 3 hours, it'll be so tempting in this tournament, Hank, for guys to put on 6-pound line, a little 4-inch worm, go around these docks and catch a pound-and-a-half spots. A lot of guys are going to do that here. I mean, you don't get a lot of shots at $500,000 in a tournament, and you better be on your A game. You better be fishing what you feel you can win this tournament doing. And this isn't a tournament to, like, I don't want to say, I think fish conservatively is sort of an overused term, but you've got to fish what you feel that you're best at here. If you're ever going to do it, this is a tournament to do it in.
Tell you, Randy, it's always a pleasure. You're one of the most knowledgeable guys out there, and it's really fun to talk to.
Thanks a lot, Hank. Appreciate it.
It's been a long time. We won't wait that long next time.
20 years is too long, man.
Hey, don't go away. Coming up next, we're going to join Taylor and Carlton, and we're going to make our predictions on what's going to take place, how many pounds it's going to take, and who's going to win it right here on Logan Martin coming up next.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're wrapping up our preview of the FLW Championship from Logan Martin. And once again, Hank Parker joins us.
Hank, you fish with 3 pros who have different approaches to this lake. What do you take from what they told you?
Well, pedigree pro Greg Pugh, he lives here close by. He's put a lot of time in on the water. And he's really counting on catching his fish deep. On the other hand, David Walker hadn't spent much time here at all, and he's a shallow water fisherman. He's going to fish a foot deep or less. You can count on it. I think David Walker is going to be tough, but he'll fish shallow all week. Then Fuji Pro Randy Blockett has really not made a commitment yet. He's kind of waiting to weigh the practice out to really decide what he's going to do. But I noticed the water's come up about 8 inches from last week, so I'm betting Randy Blockett's going to be fishing shallow as well.
Well, if shallow is better this week, can a guy mix up both and catch some fish shallow and some deep?
You know, that's a great question. And Logan Martin's got a couple of different personalities, and it's definitely capable of being one either way. It can be one shallow, it can be one deep. Big spotted bass can win this event. They're going to be caught, I feel like they're going to be caught deep, 10 foot or deeper. Big largemouth, they're going to be up real shallow. So it could be a tournament where a guy mixes the bag. He catches a few big largemouth shallow and goes out and tries to catch a spotted bass deep.
Hank, the first 2 rounds are head-to-head competition. Is that a different approach for the anglers?
Well, I think this is the 3rd year these guys have had this format, and it's the only event of the year that they fish head-to-head competition in this bracket format. So I don't think that they've had a lot of time to set strategies. It's all pretty new. I think most of the guys that I've talked to, they like this format, but they've really not adapted their fishing style to do anything differently. They're going to fish their strength, and they're going to fish against the fish.
We'll find out how they fish against each other as well. And now it's time for us to make our predictions. Hank, we go to you first. One guy who's going to win it all.
I hope we win one of these games. You know, it's hard to pick a winner, but Aaron Martins is a guy. He's a Ranger Pro. He's a guy that fishes all tournaments all over the country. He's gone about half of the year, but when he's not gone, he's on Logan Martin, and he fishes from daylight to dark. He's obsessed with it. He loves it. He knows Logan Martin inside out. He's a great tournament fisherman. He's won before. I look out for Aaron Martins.
One of the top anglers in the country right now in any given body of water is Greg Hackney, and especially if it's going to be a shallow water bite. Greg loves to fish shallow. He's the kind of guy that can cash that championship check.
Usually local pros disappoint in big-time tournaments, but Matt Herron may be the exception. He knows this lake so well, he may find a way to combine that shallow bite and that deep bite and win on Logan Martin.
Guys, $1.5 million going to be given out at this championship. Amazing. Head-to-head until the final day when the top 12 go for the big money, $500,000 to our winner. We will crown a champion next week on FLW Outdoors.
He could have one more hand. He does. We have a champion. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Holy cow. Woo.
That's the way to crown a championship right there.
Yes. Oh, come to me. Yeah. Say hello to my little friend. Yeah. Yeah. There you go, Olga. Yes. I told you that was a big old fish underneath that mat.
Great
sweat, Louisiana's own. Our champion is Dave Lefebvre. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the 2004 Walmart Open is Tim Klinger out of Boulder City, Nevada. Anthony Gagliardi is the champion here at Kentucky Lake, the 5th stop on the FLW Tour. Scott Martin, your winner of the 2004 Forest Wood Open. Hibden added to his amazing resume with a win in Shreveport. In 2001, the world watched in horror as the events of September 11th unfolded. The FLW Tour canceled the championship scheduled to begin the next day on Lake Champlain. 2002 brought a new format to the championship, head-to-head matchups, which provided one of the most intense and entertaining weigh-ins in bass fishing history.
He wanted a shootout, brother, you got one.
As John Sappington and Gerald Swindle duked it out ounce for ounce until Sappington got the edge and won the $260,000 first place prize. In 2003, the ante was up once again in record-setting fashion. David Dudley reigned supreme, winning $500,000, claiming the largest payday ever for a season-ending championship. David Dudley is the 2003 FLW Tour champion. Now, 2004. The best anglers in the world are here in Birmingham for fishing's top prize. It started head-to-head. It finishes with the top 12. All out. One final day for the title of 2004 FLW Tour champion. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the main event. Here are your finalists for the 2004 FLW Tour Championship. Our first finalist is one of the top rookies on the FLW Tour. He finished 27th in the FLW season point standings and impressed Kobe Krieger and Mark Harden on his way to the final round. From Ocala, Florida, Glenn Brown. Our next finalist is also enjoying quite a rookie season. He owned the best weight of the second round at 14.3, which helped him beat the 2-seed Greg Hackney. He's traveled a long way to be here. From Spokane, Washington, Luke Clausen. Our next finalist turned in strong stringers all week in tough wins over Ray Scheid and Tracy Adams. His 12-pound, 6-ounce stringer in the second round was second best of the field. From Clare, Michigan, Banana Boat Pro Kevin Vida. Our next finalist owns a win at this year's Old Hickory event. He has risen quickly through the BFL and EverStart series on his way to today's FLW final. He finished the season ranked 14th. From Erie, Pennsylvania, Kellogg's Pro, Dave Lefebvre. Our next next finalist also owns a victory this year with a win on Kentucky Lake. He edged out two top bass fishing veterans in Randy Blockett and Dean Rojas, proving he deserves a shot at $500,000. From Prosperity, South Carolina, Anthony Gagliardi. Our next finalist is one of the most successful anglers in FLW history. He's a two-time Angler of the Year who owns big-time events. He finished the 2004 season ranked 4th, always stalking the leaderboard. From Cedar Park, Texas, Kellogg's Pro, Clark Wendlandt. Our next finalist pulled off 2 upsets, earning his way into another FLW final with wins over Sean Hernke and number 9 seed Matt Herron. He loves Logan Martin Lake. From Canton, Georgia, Jimmy Millsaps. Our next finalist is a longtime veteran of the FLW Tour who upset 2 of the top names in fishing to earn a slot in today's final, beating Aaron Martins and Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year Shinichi Fukai. From Buford, Georgia, Mickey Bruce. Our next finalist is on quite a hot streak. He won $200,000 at last month's Forest Wood Open on Lake Champlain in New York. The 4th best weight of the second round earned a shot at today's big money. From Lewiston, Florida, BF Goodrich Pro Scott Martin. Our next finalist is competing in his 2nd straight FLW Championship final. He edged Tom Mann Jr. and Chris McCall in the first 2 rounds for another shot at $500,000. From Jetersville, Virginia, Tyson Pro John Cruz. Our next finalist is a great teacher of the sport. His classroom instruction continued into today's final with a 2nd round win over fellow Tennessean Andy Morgan. From Santa Fe, Tennessee, Charlie Ingram. Our final finalist knows a thing or two about big money tournaments after the 2002 Ranger M1, where he finished 3rd. Wins over Carl Sweebeck and David Walker have him back on track for another shot. From Satsuma, Alabama, Jason Kilpatrick. Ladies and gentlemen, here they are, your 2004 FLW Championship Final 12. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for our national anthem sung by Steffi Ledbetter and the presentation of colors by the Georgia National Guard Youth Challenge Academy.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran
The day began with 12 finalists. Our day ends with one champion and a $500,000 payday. The shootout style weigh-in starts next on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back, America, and to a worldwide audience watching on American Forces Network. This is the 2004 FLW Championship. The purse is $1.5 million. Winner takes home $500,000. Hank Parker, you never fished for that kind of money.
I didn't even fish for close to that kind of money. I mean, what a big deal this is.
And it's a big deal to win this. This really sets someone's career.
More really than the $500,000 that they're going to cash today, and that is a huge check to get it one time. But the title of Tour Championship, FLW Tour Championship, that title is going to take them a lot further and beyond $500,000.
This fishery, Logan Martin, offers lots of challenges.
It has been a challenge from the start. Taylor, these guys came down and had plenty of time to pre-fish, but this lake has fished totally different than it did in pre-fishing. When they got here, the water was higher than what it was the week before. Then we've had cold front after cold front, rainy conditions, cloudy conditions, and then bright sun. So it's been a mixture, and this cold front has made it tough. But the guys that are here today have all adapted and adapted well.
All right, here's how we got there. We started out with 48 of the best anglers, down to 24, head-to-head matchups, down to the 12 you see on stage. Days 1 and 2, of course, critical. Here's a look back at days 1 and 2 from the FLW Championship.
FLW Championship, round 1.
This is what you fish for all year right here. And 10 minutes before takeoff, you can't hardly cut the air. It's so thick with adrenaline out here, but this is what we live for right here.
You try to put that aside and just say you're going to go fishing, but it's, you know, about every 5 seconds that 500,000 keeps popping up in your head.
Snapshots of the first hours of the 2004 FLW Championship. Mark Rose making last-second adjustments. Kellogg's pro Clark Wenlett flipping boat docks and catching his second keeper. Lee Bailey on the dock pattern 2 and knocking down his second fish. Local favorite Todd Airy seconds after losing a nice spotted bass. And Airy's opponent, Yamaha pro Greg Hackney, cranking and coming up a little short. Hours later at the weigh-in stage, it's evident both have struggled, but bracket-style competition can be forgiving, and Hackney only trails Airy by 9 ounces. The brackets can be punishing, too. Witness the Shad Skank Luke Clausen pairing. Skank has the day's second biggest sack, 13-14. Trailing only, that's right, Clausen with 14-4.
And that's just the way it goes, and you know how it is coming into the tournament. So, I mean, if you're fishing good, you know, if it's meant to be, then you're going to make it to Friday's round.
For many pros, first day weights were lower than expected. Even for Angler of the Year Shin Fukai, who trails 48-seeded Chad Grigsby by more than 2 pounds. The biggest surprise may have come from co-angler Greg Gullich, posting 15-11, tops on both sides of the competition.
Day 2.
One of the most intense competitors on the FLW Tour has played her hand in this championship. Mother Nature is the 49th finalist in this field of pros, and the anglers today will have to deal with some cooler temperatures and some rain. But you know the saying, the worse the conditions, the better the fishing. These pros didn't let the rain dampen their quest for some top-level, in-your-face action. In the front of that boat, Dave Lefebvre is flipping the grass and catching quality. Just 4 minutes after his first, number 2 bit, and the Kellogg's Pro began filling up his live well. Classic champ and Yamaha Pro Takahiro Omori is alternating between a jig and a buzzbait. His first keeper took the topwater offering right at the boat. But at the weigh-in, Takahiro fell to Arkansas's Mark Rose. Remember Dave Lefebvre? His 2 early keepers bolstered his 5-fish limit and eliminated Alabama's Greg Pugh. The nail-biter of the Day 2 weigh-in came down to the narrowest of margins and eliminated another Alabama native, Tyson pro Todd Airy.
18 pounds, 15 ounces by tiebreaker. Second seed moves forward.
Hackney advanced to face Luke Clausen in the second round. Other headliners advancing include Clark Wendlandt, David Walker, Dean Rojas, and Shinichi Fukai.
All right, Hank, and Day 3 was yesterday, and conditions were tough, and some favorites weighed out. Shin Fukai gone, Greg Hackney gone, local favorite Matt Herron gone.
Look at Luke Clausen. I mean, he is from Spokane, Washington, catching fish like crazy. Scott Martin, he's doing an awesome job. This thing's wide open. Mickey Bruce is catching fish deep, so who knows? It's a real shootout.
And as you said, conditions were changing. Adaptation was the key.
Well, Clark Wendlandt hadn't set the world on fire, but he's advanced, and the day he changed up, you may look out for Clark. I mean, it's wide open.
All right, Hank, we're down to 12 anglers now. To the stage now. Somebody's going to win $500,000 right here today. Hello, Birmingham. Hello, America. I'm Carlton Wing. This is Charlie Evans. We're going to give away $500,000 to the winner today, Charlie.
Somebody's going to walk away here richer than he walked in. Let's get it started.
Our 12 top anglers surround the stage right now. The shootout style weigh-in starts right now. Each of our finalists took the water today with 0 weight. Tied for the lead, tied for last place. It's all in how you look at it. Charlie Ingram is our first angler. He'll bring up his first fish. He will set the mark to beat for every angler to follow. In this game, you take the lead or you are gone.
And here is our first keeper for Charlie Ingram. It'll set the stage. It weighs in at 1 pound, 14 ounces. 114, he's our leader.
Okay, so Charlie will return to his boat. He's our leader, Scott Martin.
All right, Hank, our shootout style weigh-in is underway. What's going to be the key to winning that $500,000 today?
Well, you know, catching the most fish, obviously, but I've watched all these guys, and they've got a poker face. I don't know who has them and who don't.
When we come back, we'll start finding out who has them. Stay tuned to FLW Outdoors. Hank Parker, 2 anglers have weighed out. Rookie Glenn Brown from Florida and second-year pro Dave Lefebvre out of Pennsylvania.
I can attest to exactly what Dave said. He said that he was swinging for the fences, and he didn't go for his limit, said he caught his limit the last hour. I watched him this morning, and he was strictly flipping for a big fish, and it just didn't happen for him.
10 anglers remain. Back on stage now to Carlton Wing and Charlie Evans.
All right, this shootout continues. Our leader right now, Luke Clausen, with 7 pounds. He's weighed in 3 fish. But here comes Clark Wendlandt, a 2-time Angler of the Year. He needs to bring up 7 pounds to take the lead.
Kellogg's pro Clark Wendlandt, 2-time winner of the Walmart Open, Beaver Lake in Arkansas, home of Walmart, of course.
And Clark always seems to turn it on at just the right time in the right tournaments, and this is one of them.
He has squeaked through the first round and the second round. Now trying to squeak through in the third round. He's going to have to pick up speed here. He's got 4 fish here that weigh 4.4, and he has a tournament limit. I don't think that'll do it, Clark. 5 fish here that weigh 6 pounds, 3 ounces, not enough.
I'll tell you what, Charlie, I've really gotten lucky, been blessed this week. My brackets just hadn't caught them that good. I haven't made the adjustments I need.
All right, let's look at you out there on the water and catch you at work.
I'm nervous, but I tell you what, it doesn't get much better than this.
I was flipping mainly, and you know, I just couldn't get any big bites. I got big bites in practice, but I only caught little ones, you know, in the tournament. So it just hurt me.
What do you think the difference was between practice and tournament? Weather, conditions, the bait fish changing?
The big fish that I was fishing for suspended, and I started getting suspended bites, but I kept losing them, and for some reason, I just couldn't get them in the boat.
I'll tell you another guy that deserves a great round of applause is Clark Wendlandt. He's a tremendous role model for anglers all over the world. Clark Wendlandt, a champion. Clark Wendlandt.
That's 3 down. Here comes our next challenger, Mickey Bruce, one of the top anglers through the first 2 rounds. He also needs to bring up 7 pounds to take his turn.
Stratus Pro Mickey Bruce fishing out the Energizer boat today and has been keep going and going through round 1, going on through round 2. Now we'll see if we can keep going in the final championship round. Mickey Bruce, the winner of our Lake Lanier event down in Georgia, just north of Atlanta. He won $100,000 there, but $500,000 would fit really good right here. We'll need 1 more. Here's 4 fish, and this will take the lead. We'll have a new leader, 4 fish here that weigh 8 pounds, 9 ounces. Mickey Bruce is our leader.
We've got a new turn on top of the hill. We have yet to see John Cruz, his second straight FLW final round from Jetersville, Virginia. He needs to bring up 8 pounds, 9 ounces.
On the member of the Tyson Pro Team, John Cruz, 2 years in a row in the finals on the championship day. Not just in his hometown, Richmond, Virginia, but here in Birmingham, Alabama. Trying to get to 8 pounds, 10 ounces. 8, 10. No, excuse me, 8, 9. That won't do it here. He's finished at 3 pounds, 15 ounces. I know you swung for the fences.
It really is anybody's game, so I'm here on the final day, so I've got my shot. You got to beat 11 guys. Where else can you beat 11 guys for $500,000, really?
Absolutely. I knew where some big fish lived. I caught a few of them the first day. I caught a few of them in practice. And I just stayed on those places and beat on them and beat on them, and they wouldn't bite.
Ready for next year?
Absolutely. I hope I'm right here on this final 12 again.
I wouldn't bet against him. Give him a great round of applause. John Cruz from Jetersville, Virginia.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 4 down, 8 remain. When we come back on FLW Outdoors, we will troll ever closer toward crowning a 2004 champion. Back to Birmingham, Alabama in the 2004 FLW Tour Championship. We have had 4 of our finalists weigh out, 8 remain, and now it's time for our first look at Alabama's own Jason Kilpatrick.
Lowry's Pro, Jason Kilpatrick, and Evinrude Pro.
Jason needs to bring up 8 pounds and 9 ounces to take the lead.
8, 9 will put him in the lead, in the driver's seat in the lead. Jason first on the scene in the Ranger M1. 2 fish, he says that's all that weigh 4 pounds, 6 ounces, 4, 6. What a shock.
Yeah, it is a shock, Charlie. I tried to play a little bit of coy yesterday and tell everybody I was out of fish, and actually I thought yesterday afternoon I had found the winning fish.
Let's look and see what you found out there. We've got you at work on Logan Martin Lake.
Well, we figured a little something out yesterday afternoon, so we're going to play with that. I don't really have anything left from the fish that I was using through the cut days. So thankfully we did find some fresh fish yesterday afternoon that were quality.
Golly, what are they doing? Did you see that? That's not a little one, I don't think.
All right, you got started, but it didn't get finished.
Yeah, I really don't know what happened out there, Charlie. I thought yesterday we had them really wired, and they bit late in the day, so I had to stay there till the end of the day. And like Dave did, that was a real wise decision to make some more money. But because of the way my fish were biting late in the day, I didn't have that option, and I swung for them. And I don't have any regrets. I've been on this stage 3 out of the last 4 events, and it's getting a little old. I want to get it done.
He'll get it done soon. Let's give him a great round of applause. Jason Kilpatrick.
All right, that's 5 down. Let's go back over to Charlie Ingram, our second look at Charlie. He weighed in 1 fish to get us started at 1 pound and 14 ounces. He now needs to bring up 6 pounds and 11 ounces to take the lead.
Ranger Pro, Charlie Ingram, Santa Fe, Tennessee. Again, Fishing University TV show on OLN. Looking for 6'11". There's fish number 4, and he'll need his tournament limit to try to get there. Here is number 5. I'm not sure. The total weight here, 4 pounds, 12 ounces. Not enough, Charlie.
Yeah, I know it. I took a little gamble today. I thought maybe I'd catch 7 or 8 pounds doing what I'm doing, but I don't think that'll win. And shoot, I'm just proud to be here. And I want to thank several people here. First, Forrest Wood for starting this whole mess a long time ago. He and I have been fishing. I used to fish against him. So that tells you how old I am, right? And I also want to thank Erwin Jacobs. Erwin told me one time a few years ago he was doing all this FLW stuff, and I said, how you going to do it, Erwin? He said, I'm going to raise the ante, and by gosh, he has.
He has done that. He has done that. Let's watch you at work out there, Charlie, on the lake, and tell us about your day today.
You know, the secret to it here is just getting the bigger bites. You know, if you don't get those 12-inch bites, which a lot of guys, and including myself, I've gotten a lot of 12-inch bites, but the secret to it's getting a couple kickers. If you can get that, you'll be right there.
All right, Charlie, I've seen you work there. Again, I've watched you a lot on Fishing University. You move real slow and easy when you're doing that show, a little more intense today.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot more intense. I moved from the flipping the docks, which I've been doing the last 3 or 4 days, and my partners died. I've caught about 50 pounds off of them, and shoot, I think I just wore them out. So I moved out on the river ledge this afternoon, or about 12 o'clock, and I hung a giant. I mean a giant. He just came off, so you know it wasn't meant to happen, but I caught 2 more out there. But
you had a great year this year, Charlie. I know you're looking forward to next year. You got momentum going. Let's give him a huge round of applause. Charlie Ingram.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are halfway through our field of finalists. 6 out, 6 remain. When we come back, we'll cut that field down to 4. The shootout style weigh-in continues on FLW Outdoors.
Welcome back to the $1.5 million FLW Championship from Birmingham, Alabama. Charlie Ingram joins us now. Not going to make $500,000 today, Charlie.
Boy, I know it. And that's a shame, but it's just a fun thing to be here, you know. And what FLW has done, it's raised the level of this sport. I mean, Hank, when you and I used to fish against each other, you know, you won $50,000. That's a big deal.
Tell me about your day. Now, I know
500,000.
It is a great event, and I know it was exciting, and I know you were really proud to be there, and you keep saying you're just proud to be here, but I know you better than that, and I know you wanted to win more than anything in the world. I heard you had a really big fish on, and it got off on you. What happened?
Yeah, it's just, you know, I've been pitching a Bobo jig, which is a jig made right here in Alabama. And I got on the river and got on some big stumps that I'd seen 10 years ago when I was down here, and the water was low, and I caught 2 keepers, 2 of my better keepers actually out on the river after I left the flipping bite on the docks. And when I got out there, and about the 3rd one that hit me, I mean, it was a giant. And, you know, went around a darn stump and came off. And I said, oh, man. I mean, I had on 20-pound line, you know, and a 7-foot Kistler rod, and I mean, I was bowed up on it.
Give a hand for Charlie Ingram, everybody.
That's a tough rod.
Charlie Ingram. As we check the 7-up leaderboard here at the FLW Championship, our leader remains Mickey Bruce, 8 pounds, 9 ounces, followed by Luke Clausen in 2nd place. Then Dave Lefebvre, Charlie Ingram is weighed out, as has Clark Wendlandt. Kevin Vida is in 6th place. Glenn Brown has weighed out. Anthony Gagliardi still with fish to weigh. Then it's Jason Kilpatrick who is gone. Jimmy Millsap still alive. John Cruz and Scott Martin is alive at 3 pounds, 7 ounces. Back to the stage now, and more of the drama as we head toward $500,000.
5 finalists remain to try to chase the leader, Mickey Bruce, and here comes Scott Martin. Our second look at Scott. He weighed in 1 fish in the first round. Now he needs to bring up 5 pounds and 3 ounces to retake the lead.
5-3 will put Scott into the lead. BF Goodrich Pro trying to stay in.
You know, I had a nice group of guys following me today, and they were cheering me on. I just want to say, roll tide.
Roll tide. Looking for 5 pounds, 3 ounces. We're at 4-5. We'll need 1 more, and this will do it. Scott Martin. We're weighing in. 3 fish, in great shape, and they weigh in at 6 pounds, 15 ounces, the new leader.
All right, Scott Martin takes the lead. His total weight right now is 10 pounds and 6 ounces. Jimmy Millsaps will come up next. He's already weighed in 2 fish. He'll need to bring up 6 pounds and 2 ounces to be able to take the lead. 6'2".
There is fish number 1 for Jimmy. Needs 6'2". That's his 3rd fish. Here comes his 4th fish. Looking for 6'2". We'll need 1 more. This will be his limit fish. He must get 6 pounds, 2 ounces. And he does. 3 fish here that weigh 7 pounds, 15 ounces, a new leader.
All right, Jimmy is on top. Jimmy has weighed in all 5 of his fish. His total weight right now, 12 pounds, 4 ounces. That is the mark to beat for Anthony Gagliardi, who is coming up next. He's weighed in 3. He'll need to bring up some big uns. He needs 7 pounds, 6 ounces to take the lead.
In our Kentucky Lake champion, looking for 2 monsters here to get to 7 pounds, 6 ounces. That's a great way to start there. Looking for 7.6. That was a 3.5 pounder. And I think this will do it. Two huge fish, and he has done it. 2 fish here that weigh 8 pounds, 9 ounces, and that eliminates Jimmy Millsaps. Puts Anthony in the lead, knocks out Jimmy. Jimmy Millsaps, man, you were close there. We got video of you on the lake at work.
Yeah, I'm not going to be happy unless I'm here to try to win it. I'm glad I've done made it here. That's what I was trying to do. Now it's time to try to win it. And I'm gonna take some chances today that I ordinarily wouldn't take.
What is this?
This is a heart attack fish.
What do you got? You got him stuck?
He's on a 2x6.
On a 2x6?
About 10 foot long.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna bring both of them in.
2x6 and the fish.
That's it.
Look at that.
It's got 4 foot of line, and I'm trying to net it, and it's running around that plank.
That's the most amazing thing I've ever. And you are getting a little nervous. You're trying to net board and all, or?
I'm trying to catch the fish again.
And you got him.
Yeah. Ah.
That was a tough one.
That'll make you a little bit excited.
Great job, Jimmy. Let's give Jimmy a great round of applause. He did a super job for old boy Berto.
All right, that's going out with style. I tell you what,
absolutely.
Right there, that's going on a highlight reel. All right, we've got 5 anglers remaining. Everybody trying to chase Anthony Gagliardi, who leads right now with 13 pounds and 7 ounces. The next challenger, Kevin Vida. He's weighed in 3 fish. He needs to bring up 7 pounds and 10 ounces to take the lead.
Looking for 7 pounds, 10 ounces for our Banana Boat Pro.
Charlie, I want to say one thing about this crowd in the state of Alabama, Birmingham, and Pell City. You rock.
There is fish number 4 for Kevin Vida. And here is his limit fish. Looking for 7.10. We got 2 fish here that weigh 5 pounds, 11 ounces. A great stringer, but not quite good enough, Kevin.
I'm just wondering what the fish are doing. Wondering, you know, of course I'm starting an area I haven't started at yet. So I'm wondering, yeah, you can start second guessing yourself and should I go catch a limit? Should I go do this? But I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
No, I gave it my best today. I had a great week, a great practice. Rich Lewitsky and I fished together. We got on a swim and jig pattern this week, throwing a 1/4 ounce white Hildebrand jig and swimming along the docks. And I was doing a little different than most people. I was fishing docks that were from 10 to 15 foot deep, and I was catching them on the end of the poles as I cleared the poles. And
dancing again, we're dancing again.
I had a great week. I was on some great fish. I just didn't have enough today.
Here's another young pro moving up from BFL to ever start into the FLW. He will be back. Give him a great round of applause. Kevin Vida.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're down to our final 4 anglers. Anthony Gagliardi is your current leader right now at 13 pounds and 7 ounces. We'll see who makes a run at Anthony when we come back on FLW Outdoors.
We are back in Birmingham with the $1.5 million FLW Championship. Kevin Vida just weighed out. Man, you made a great run, Kevin.
Yeah, it was a great tournament for me. I was catching a lot of nice quality 3-pound fish. This is, what a tremendous lake this is. Spotted bass. I've never caught spotted bass like this before in my life.
Swimming that jig must have made the difference.
Yeah, I was swimming at probably 75% of the time. I was also using a Berkeley power jig when they would go back down to the bottom on the cloudy days and flipping the docks. But when the sun came out, they suspended, and I swam and jig.
You answered my question. I was going to ask you what lure you're using. You did a great job. You answered exactly what I was going to ask.
Banana Boat Pro Kevin Vida. Good job, Kevin.
Thank you.
On the 7-Up leaderboard now as it stands, Kevin Vida is gone, but your leader is Anthony Gagliardi, 13 pounds, 7 ounces, followed by Jimmy Millsaps and Kevin Vida, who are both gone, but still alive. Scott Martin, Mickey Bruce, and Luke Clausen. 4 anglers remain in that quest for $500,000 here at the FLW Championship.
All right, here's the next angler to make a run at our leader, Anthony Gagliardi. Here comes Luke Clausen. Luke has weighed in 3 fish. He needs 6 pounds and 7 ounces to be able to take the lead. 6'7".
6 pounds, 7 ounces. Again, he's weighed in 3 so far. There is number 4 for Luke. That one is a little over 3 pounds. This may very well do it. Maybe bad news for Anthony Gagliardi. He's got 2 in the bag that weigh 7 pounds, 10 ounces, a new leader, and that knocks out Anthony Gagliardi. Our Kentucky Lake champion. Man, you went out and had a great stringer today. We got you at work on Logan Martin Lake.
Time to get it done right now. Time to do it.
Yeah, I got lucky and I caught my 2 big fish before 9 o'clock this morning on the places I've been catching my limit fish, and it makes for a long day when you have those 2 big ones in the live well and you're struggling to get some 2-pounders to go with them. But ended up catching 1 more good fish and 2 keepers, but it wasn't enough.
You're ready for next year?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to next year. It looks like we might have a few sight fishing tournaments and maybe I'll be able to do some good next year.
You like sight fishing?
Oh yeah, I love to do that.
You are a true champion. We'll see you on the championship stage one day. Give him a huge round of applause. Let him know about it, Birmingham.
We're down to 3. Luke Clausen is the leader. 14 pounds, 10 ounces is his mark. Our next challenger is Mickey Bruce. Mickey brought up 4 fish already. He needs to bring up a doozy with his 5th and final fish. It's got to be 6 pounds, 1 ounce.
Stratus Poe has got a good one, but I'm not sure. It's 6'1". Mickey Bruce, his 5th fish, it weighs in at 3 pounds, 3 ounces, 3'3". Pretty good stringer.
Yeah, that's a pretty good stringer. I had an opportunity for a big stringer today, and unfortunately, the 2 that would make the difference, they got off. But nothing I could do about it. I didn't make any mistakes, and as always, when the many trips I've spent on Lay Lake and Logan Martin here in Birmingham, Pale City, the hospitality is outstanding, and I've had a great week and an opportunity to win $500,000. It's hard to beat that.
It is a hard week to beat, and you'll be back next year.
I'll be back.
Stratus Pro Mickey Bruce, he'll be back. Give him a good round of applause. Good job, Mickey.
It's crunch time here at the FLW Tour Championship. Luke Clausen is the leader. 1 angler remains who can possibly take that title away, and that's Scott Martin. We will crown a champion when we come back on FLW Outdoors. We are down to crunch time here in Birmingham for the 2004 FLW Tour Championship. Luke Clausen is our leader with an amazing catch of 14 pounds and 10 ounces. Scott Martin, the only challenger left who can possibly catch him. He'll need a big one to do so, and we'll see a big fish possibly for the championship of the FLW Tour for this year. Our leader is Luke Clausen, going for $500,000. He's with Charlie Evans right now.
Look, we started with 200 anglers at the first of the year. We bowled down to the top 48. Then we went to 24. We went to 12. And now we're down to 2. How's the nerves?
Oh, they're real bad right now, Charlie. I want to get this done with in a terrible way. This has been the longest 2 hours of my life since we left the lake.
The longest 2 hours. I tell you what, you fought great for 4 days. Let's watch you in action out there on Logan Martin Lake.
I'm excited. Hopefully I can catch them like I have been catching them. Be a lot richer of a man after the day if it happens. Now let's go fishing and see what happens. This week things just came together for me, and I hope they continue to. Just needs to last 1 more day.
All right, you're out there. What are you doing? Tell us, Luke.
Oh, this one's bound up in a dock. This is at the end of the day, and I had about a 12-inch I needed to cull out. I got this one tangled up. The line got caught in a splinter, and I was trying to get it out. I could see the fish flashing around down there. Oh, I think it's about right here. It finally breaks free from the splinter, and I was able to lift the fish. I was about ready to jump in. I wanted that fish so bad.
You can't jump in and get them, though, Luke. What bait are you using?
That's a little prototype finesse bait that I've been using all week.
Something that's been working really good for him. I'll tell you what, he's done a great job out there on the lake. Only 1 man to beat, and he's with Carlton Wing.
That's right. I'm with our challenger. This is Scott Martin. And Scott, it seems like it was just a month ago, because it was when you were going for $200,000 and won the Forest Wood Open. As we go to video of you out on the water, talk about what has worked so well for you for the last couple of months. You're one of the hottest anglers in the country.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I've just been really getting up real early and staying real late. I've really been putting my time in. My fishing abilities are really about average, but the Lord's been blessing me real well, and I really want to thank him for that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to crown a champion here in Birmingham, Alabama? Let's set the stage right now. Luke Clausen has weighed in all 5 of his fish. He will get a bird's eye view of the scale while Scott Martin brings up his 5th and final fish. That fish must be 4 pounds and 5 ounces to claim the championship. If not, Luke Clausen will be our winner. Let's see what you got, Scott Martin.
But for 4 pounds, 5 ounces for Scott Martin, he's got a good one.
This is our big moment right here.
Weighs in at 3 pounds, 14 ounces. Luke Clausen is our champion.
Luke Clausen, your winner of the 2004 FLW Tour Championship. Come center stage, Luke, and look at this crowd. Luke Clausen, here is your check. $500,000, Richard, coming from Forest Wood. A standing ovation from the crowd here in Birmingham for the Spokane, Washington native. There he is, folks, your champion here at Logan Martin. Luke, this is a great day for bass fishing. Can you tell us what this means for you?
I really can't I can't even believe it's happening right now. I've just had an awesome week. Everything just went phenomenal this week. I never would imagine when I was coming here that I was really going to win it. And even today I was scared. I thought there's no way. I lost a couple fish today, and I just thought I'd have a perfect day. It's just incredible. I can't believe it.
It's a perfect tournament for Luke Clausen, your 2004 FLW Tour champion. The 26-year-old rookie from Spokane is the newest FLW champion. He edged Scott Martin by a mere 6 ounces for the title and the big money. Anthony Gagliardi came in 3rd, followed by Jimmy Millsaps, Mickey Bruce, and Kevin Vida. The top 6 separated by just over 3 pounds. The second 6 were led by Dave Lefebvre, Charlie Ingram, Clark Wendland, Glenn Brown, Jason Kilpatrick, and John Cruz. Be sure to tune in next week when Larry Nixon joins us to review how the finalists caught their fish. That's next week. Thanks for watching This Week on FLW Outdoors.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We got a problem. It's a keeper. We got a problem. We got a problem. We got a problem. Oh, come here. We have solved the problem.
Dancing again, we're dancing again. I think that helps the cause.
It's a giant.
Bow!
That's what I'm talking about.
That thing was tearing me up. That is so lucky I just landed that fish. I was just talking about getting him way back under the docks, and I picked up and it was heavy. Oh yeah, that's the kind of fish I need. One more like that, I could be a rich man.
I told Taylor, I said, I'm shocked he just done a tremendous job, because this morning he was nervous.
Oh, I was a mess. I couldn't fish. I couldn't cast.
You got me crying. I'm so excited for you.
Luke, you know your career earnings just went from $31,000 to $531,000.
A little bit of an increase.
This is what bass fishing can do for you.
How does the kid from Spokane get that done, Luke?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I've fished all my life. I've worked really hard at it. I got to thank my dad. Just a great supporter of mine. Got me into fishing, got me started. Oh, it's just been awesome. Coming back here, I started fishing back east and fished with a lot of these big name guys. And it's great to fish against company like this and really succeed. It's awesome. Can't believe it.
Larry Nixon, you'll have questions for Luke a little bit later, okay? Hang tight right there. Here's a look back at how he did it. Luke Clausen winning the 2004 FLW Championship.
FLW Champ. Round 1.
This is what you fish for all year right here. And 10 minutes before takeoff, you can't hardly cut the air. It's so thick with the drilling out here, but this is what we live for right here.
You try to put that aside and just say you're going to go fishing, but it's, you know, about every 5 seconds that 500,000 keeps popping up in your head.
Snapshots of the first hours of the 2004 FLW Championship. Mark Rose making last-second adjustments. Kellogg's pro Clark Wendlandt flipping boat docks and catching his second keeper. Lee Bailey on the dock pattern 2 and knocking down his second fish. Local favorite Todd Airy seconds after losing a nice spotted bass. And Airy's opponent, Yamaha pro Greg Hackney, cranking and coming up a little short. Hours later at the weigh-in stage, it's evident both have struggled, but bracket-style competition can be forgiving, and Hackney only trails Airy by 9 ounces. The brackets can be punishing, too. Witness the Shad Skank Luke Clausen pairing. Skank has the day's second biggest sack, 13-14. Trailing only, that's right, Clausen with 14-4.
And that's just the way it goes, and you know how it is coming into the tournament. So, I mean, if you're fishing good, you know, if it's meant to be, then you're going to make it to Friday's round.
For many pros, first day weights were lower than expected, even for Angler of the Year Shin Fukai, who trails 48-seeded Chad Grigsby by more than 2 pounds. The biggest surprise may have come from co-angler Greg Gullich, posting 15-11, tops on both sides of the competition.
Day 2.
One of the most intense competitors on the FLW Tour has played her hand in this championship. Mother Nature is the 49th finalist in this field of pros, and the anglers today will have to deal with some cooler temperatures and some rain. But you know the saying, the worse the conditions, the better the fishing. These pros didn't let the rain dampen their quest for some top-level, in-your-face action. In the front of that boat, Dave Lefebvre is flipping the grass and catching quality. Just 4 minutes after his first, number 2 bit, and the Kellogg's Pro began filling up his live well. Classic champ and Yamaha Pro Takahiro Omori is alternating between a jig and a buzzbait. His first keeper took the topwater offering right at the boat. But at the weigh-in, Takahiro fell to Arkansas's Mark Rose. Remember Dave Lefebvre? His 2 early keepers bolstered his 5-fish limit and eliminated Alabama's Greg Pugh. The nail-biter of the Day 2 weigh-in came down to the narrowest of margins and eliminated another Alabama native, Tyson Pro Todd Airy.
18 pounds, 15 ounces by tiebreaker. Second seed moves forward.
Hackney advanced to face Luke Clausen in the second round. Other headliners advancing include Clark Wendlandt, David Walker, Dean Rojas, and Shinichi Fukai. Round 2 is when our field of 24 gets cut to 12. It's the final day of head-to-head fishing. Luke Clausen took on Greg Hackney and prevailed. In fact, several big names bowed out in the semifinals, including Dean Rojas and Angler of the Year Shinichi Fukai, who lost to Mickey Bruce. The day produced 12 winners who would fish the final day for the paycheck of a lifetime. Championship day is always special. Everyone starts at 0 weight, so the past is the past. You've got to catch them every day to win the FLW Championship, and Luke Clausen did so. His big catches continued on the final day. And while several made a run at the top, only one angler challenged Clausen's claim at the title. It would come down to ounces when BF Goodrich Pro Scott Martin brought up his last fish. That fish must be 4 pounds and 5 ounces to claim the championship. If not, Luke Clausen will be our winner. Let's see what you got, Scott Martin.
Look for 4 pounds, 5 ounces for Scott Martin. He's got a good one.
This is our big moment right here.
Weighs in at 3 pounds, 14 ounces. Luke Clausen is our champion.
Luke Clausen, your winner of the 2004 FLW Tour Championship. Come center stage, Luke, and look at this crowd. Luke Clausen, here is your check. $500,000, Richard, coming from Forest Wood.
What was it like to raise that check?
Oh, it was pretty awesome. I never really thought it was going to happen. It hasn't sunk into me yet, I don't think.
All right, you've got media obligations. Go take care of them. More questions from Larry Nixon a bit later.
All
Here's
right.
your champion, everybody.
Thank you.
Luke Clausen, Spokane, Washington.
Thanks,
$500,000 richer. More to come, everybody, on FLW Outdoors from Birmingham, Alabama. Stay tuned for more. Here's this week's Field and Stream trivia question. Excluding Steve Daniel in the FLW's first season, who was the last rookie to win the FLW Championship? Was it David Fritz in 1997, Davey Hyde in 98, Darrell Robertson in 99, or John Sappington in 2002? The answer coming up on FLW Outdoors. Your Field and Stream trivia answer is none of the above. Luke Clausen is the first rookie to win the FLW's season-ending championship. And welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We're in Birmingham, Alabama, the $1.5 million FLW Championship. Taylor Carr and Larry Nixon, and our third place finisher, Larry, Anthony Gagliardi. You fished well, Anthony.
I did. I had a good practice and I fished a good tournament. I didn't catch the fish that I needed to today. I had an opportunity to do well, and I caught some big fish early. It just wasn't meant to be.
We've got a lot of viewers out there, and we want to teach them how to catch a bass on the Coosa River in August. And then just what did you do this week to catch your fish?
You know, I had some unique places. The fish that I caught during the tournament came mostly off secondary points, and they were receiving very little pressure from the tournament fishermen. Most people were either fishing the bank, or if they were fishing offshore cranking or Carolina rigging, they were fishing out on the main river lake. And I felt like with the colder weather that we had come in, the fish were almost in transition. Almost like a fall pattern. A lot of the shad was moving up to the backs of the creeks, and if I could find a hump or a point in a creek that had bait fish in the creek, there would be fish on it. And I just think they were using it as a stopping ground coming in and coming out.
And what lure were you catching most of your fish on throughout the tournament?
I was either throwing a drop shot if the brush wasn't too thick. If the brush was thick, I was throwing an 1/8 ounce Texas rig trick worm. And then I was also throwing a crankbait. That's what I did a lot in practice. I threw the crankbait not only to catch fish on it, but just to try to locate brush piles. And my 2 best spots that I had in the tournament, I found with the crankbait.
Just got hung up and then went back and fished with a worm.
I went back and fished with a worm, and that's how I ended up catching them.
Well, that's good. That's outstanding.
Anthony's father, Mike, watched him fish today, and I think he was as on edge as you were, Anthony.
I'm sure he was. I had a couple friends out there with him also, and they were hooting and hollering every time I caught one. And that's really neat to have people out there pulling for you, and it just keeps your spirits up and keeps you focused and keeps you pumped, and it just makes me fish harder.
Yeah, Larry, he's had a great season. He won on Kentucky Lake and now third place in the championship. Anthony Gagliardi, good job.
Thank you.
All right, let's look at the drama now. Here we go. Some of the drama from the FLW Championship on Lake Logan Martin. 7 months ago at Lake Okeechobee, 200 FLW pros had a distant goal: reach the season-ending championship on Lake Logan Martin and compete for the biggest guaranteed paycheck in fishing history. The grueling season took its toll on those 200 pros, as did the tough qualifying rounds in Birmingham. The 12 who remain are about to fish a single day in quest of a life-changing win.
Yeah, today's the day. Today's the day where it counts. You psyched? Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully I can catch them like I have been catching them. Be a lot richer of a man after the day if it happens. I don't know, a little bit nervous. One big bite that I could lose or catch that could make a difference in a lot of money. I'm looking forward to today. I mean, this is an opportunity of a lifetime to be in this position and fish against 11 guys to win $500,000. I mean, that's a life-changing event.
Secret to it's getting a couple kickers. If you can get that, you'll be right there.
I'm nervous, but I tell you what, it doesn't get much better than this. This is unbelievable. I can't even believe it. Fishing for $500,000 against 11 other guys. It's just unbelievable. This is what I signed up for.
It's what everyone signed up for, but only a dozen get to experience. Coming up, Anthony Gagliardi gets on the kind of fish that big money dreams are made of. And we're back in Birmingham on FLW Outdoors. Taylor Carr with Larry Nixon, who's just crowned a champion. Luke Clausen, $500,000 richer. Larry, this is an amazing week for Ranger boats. They unveiled the Comanche Z Series boat. Everybody loved it here. But you think of Ranger, and it goes back to the 60s. And it goes back to Forrest Wood and Nina Wood, who I know were a big part of your life in those days.
Oh, man, one of the greatest things that ever happened in my life was back about 1967. My dad went up to Flippin, Arkansas, and bought a brand new Ranger, and I think it was number 29 that Forrest Wood ever built. And me and that boat fell in love, and I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for that boat, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now.
They have really been all along the whole ride of the history of bass fishing with their incredible Ranger boat.
They really have. Ranger has been in my life, and even though I'm sponsored by Stratus, but, you know, Ranger has been a part of my bass fishing since the very beginning.
You'll enjoy this, Larry. Take a look. Forrest and Nina Wood talk about the early days and bring us now to 2004.
Do you remember coming to town the first time?
Came to town in a Springfield wagon with my grandfather on a bale of cotton to the cotton gin to have the cotton gin.
That's the first trip I remember going to flip it and was on a bale of cotton. We raised it and picked it right out behind the house here. We have seen remarkable changes in our lifetime, from horse and buggy days to being on the moon and people getting paid to fish. Can you imagine getting paid to fish? Things have changed dramatically.
When Forrest Wood started Ranger boats, professional bass fishing was in its infancy. Forrest was a competitor and in his spare time built a few boats.
Of course, I didn't know anything about sales, but I just asked everybody there if they wanted to buy a boat, and 2 or 3 of them did, and so I wrote them up an order right quick on whatever I had to write on. Actually, we got in business just building custom boat orders.
The name Ranger seemed to come naturally.
We did a focus group study kind of a thing, though we didn't know what focus groups were then. And everybody wrote down a name they thought would be good for the boats, but we were infatuated with the Texas Rangers history, and the Army Rangers were kind of new then, but they were in the news a lot, so we decided Ranger would be a good name for the boats, and or at least I did, and since I was president, well, I got to have my way, I guess. And so we made 6 Ranger boats in '68 in the back of the City Hall, in the back of a filling station, actually, a little garage there.
Within 2 years, production reached 1,200. A fire in 1971 wiped out almost everything. But Forrest and Nina and a dedicated workforce brought Ranger back stronger than ever, and they spent the next 30 years building the best bass boats on the water. And now back to the money. Does Forrest remember what the winner got in the first major tournament he entered?
Oh, the first prize is probably a big trophy. We have a few trophies that we got, and trophies were really important in those days. A little bit of money, a few $100s generally, and maybe first prize would be $1,000 in some of the tournaments. That'd be a big one. And then along by the mid-'80s or so, I won a tournament in New York, and total winnings was about $14,000, I guess, for winning the tournament there. And a big part of that was a Ranger boat that we were given for first prize, but I was proud to win it anyway.
Now, Larry, that's how much Forrest Wood meant to bass fishing. The owner of Ranger boats won a Ranger boat.
I'll tell you what, I remember when he won that boat, and it was so funny. Here the man is that builds them, and he wins his own product. The sport has come a long way since then.
Forrest Wood, unbelievable individual. When we come back, Banana Boat Pro Kevin Vida on FLW Outdoors. In the banana boat, Kevin Vida from Clare, Michigan. He's had a great first 2 rounds. And Kevin, you're doing something a bit different here, throwing a swimming jig.
I'm moving at a pace where it sinks down to about 4 to 6 feet, the jig. And it seems to be real key. If I go a little faster, I can't get bit on it up high. And if I go a little slower, it seems to get below the fish. I don't know if that was a bite or not. It's been kind of slow this morning. I've had 6 bites, but I've only put 2 in the boat.
I know Tom Mansour likes to also throw a swimming jig. Is it something about you northern guys that makes that comfortable for you?
Tom Mansour started it all. I've never thrown one really until this tournament.
What made you think it would work on this lake?
Well, I actually didn't come here to intend it, but I was throwing a crankbait along the docks, and I noticed that I'd get bit on a crankbait if I stopped it and it started floating upwards. So I knew the fish were suspended up under the docks, and a lot of times the easiest way to catch a suspended fish is to swim something by its nose, and that's what this jig is doing.
This morning before launch, a lot of the anglers said the weights might be lower today because of boat traffic and the fish being hit pretty hard. You agree with that, Kevin?
Yeah, I thought, like what Clark said this morning, I really thought 14 pounds you'd have a shot at it. You know, you can see a 17-pound bag come in. It's going to be a perfect day, I think, for somebody. But 12 to 14, that's what I think. I agree with that.
Now, Kevin, you've been real successful in ever starts, but you've never won an FLW event. Wouldn't it be nice to crack through with a $500,000 win for your first one?
Oh, that would be the only way to do it. If I never won another one the rest of my life, I'd be a happy camper.
Hey, if you win, I'm gonna hold you to that. I bet you say no, you want to win the next one too.
I would.
The Convention Center in Birmingham is still buzzing here at the FLW Championship. Luke Clausen was your winner, but Larry Nixon, Scott Martin fished awfully well too, and you finished second place, Scott.
Oh, I'm very happy with it. You know, it's $500,000 is a tremendous amount of money, life-changing, matter of fact. But I fished perfect today. I mean, I have no regrets at all. I managed my time well. Everywhere I went, worked, and I did well. I'm very happy with it. I didn't lose any fish, so you know he legitimately beat, and he deserves to win for sure.
We want to know where you went. We couldn't find you today.
Well, I was moving. The first couple days of practice, I tried the little worm, and it just takes too long, and you catch a lot of little fish. So I was fishing real fast on these docks, trying to get a reaction bite, and that's what these big fish reacted on. So I wouldn't spend much more than 5 minutes on a dock, and I was to the next one, and that was my key. So it was probably hard to find me. I was all over the place.
What lure was you throwing?
Well, two lures. I was actually throwing a regular jig with a football head, and then also a swim bait. Believe it or not, it was actually kind of a little.
You're swimming a jig also.
Well, it wasn't a swimming jig. It was actually a minnow-bodied bait with a soft tail on it and everything. It looks just like a shad. Actually, these fish.
No name for it?
It's a Matsuo swim bait, is what it is.
Oh, a regular swim bait.
It's a swim bait.
I know what you're talking about.
Matsuo swim bait.
Smaller version of the ones they throw in California.
Exactly. It was about a 4-inch long, about a ½ ounce, and I'd pitch it up and I'd count it down, and I'd try to work that water column between 6 to 12 feet, basically. If it was a 25-foot dock, I'd only let it go down about 12 feet, and I'd rip it up and swim it, and these fish were reacting on it. And what I noticed in practice was that there was big shad hanging around these docks. Did you see those big gizzard shad? And the shad were the exact size of the bait. And I think that's what these big spots were keying on. The little spots were eating the smaller shad and eating the smaller little worms that you throw in there, but the big spots, the ones you need to win the tournament, were eating the big bait.
You don't have nothing to be ashamed of, does he, Taylor? That was just outstanding.
Thank you very much.
This BF Goodrich Pro understands fishing, everybody. Scott Martin, second place, $50,000, and you won at Champlain this year. You've had an outstanding season.
Thank you.
All right, now more of the drama from the FLW Championship on Lake Logan Martin. In the early going on Logan Martin, Luke Clausen nets the day's first fish, and then minutes later barely misses keeper number 2 on a spinnerbait.
Ooh, so that was like a 4 or 5 pounder. Just came out and ate my spinnerbait, and somehow I never hooked it.
BF Goodrich Pro Scott Martin is flipping a tube and gets his first keeper minutes later. Watch the cast that Kellogg's Pro Clark Wendlandt makes, flipping a white jig around a boat into hard-to-reach places. Clark already has 1 fish in the boat, and he'll have 2 if he can land this one. It's his second keeper, and it gives Clark just over 3 pounds and the early lead. Anthony Gagliardi is doing something a bit different, pulling a Texas rig green pumpkin trick worm through a brush pile. He's hoping to get a small limit and then go to his bigger fish, crankbaiting offshore structure.
Holy cow, that's a big one.
Anthony's game plan is about to look brilliant. His small fish turns out to be a 4-pounder.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for right there.
The brush pile is in about 8 feet of water on an inside turn of a secondary point.
It's one of those places that catches them in transition, I think. They see it when they're swimming through, and they stop on it for a little while. And I think that's why I've been able to catch. I've caught a fish off this one every single day.
Checking the competition, Banana Boat Pro Kevin Vida has 2 fish for 2 pounds. Mickey Bruce has 1 for 1.5 pounds. Glenn Brown has a 1-pounder, as does Charlie Ingram, and Clark Wendlet gets his 3rd. On the leaderboard, it's Gagliardi, Wendlet, Vida, and Bruce. And watch out for Gagliardi. His brush pile is producing again.
Oh my gosh.
Even though it's early, Gagliardi knows landing this fish is critical to his championship hopes. The largemouth goes 4.5 pounds, giving Anthony 9.5 for the final and a big early lead.
That's the biggest fish I've caught since I've been here. Unbelievable. If I catch 3 decent fish to go along with those, I mean, I'd have to believe that I had a shot to win it. So I got to keep my composure. I know it's hard right now, but I'll settle back down here in a minute and just start fishing slow again.
Coming up, Scott Martin and Luke Clausen turn it on, and the competition on Logan Martin gets intense. And welcome back to Birmingham. Taylor Carr with Larry Nixon. We've just crowned a champion here at the FLW Championship. We also heard from Scott Martin, who finished 2nd. And Larry, that is one talented fishing family.
It really is. You know, he took right after his mom and dad. Mary Ann's won several tournaments, and Roland, we all know what he's done. And now look at Scott. He's just incredible.
All right, more from Scott Martin. Fishing 101 on a problem that plagues all anglers, Larry, even you once in a while. How to avoid a backlash.
Pick them out.
Hi, I'm Scott Martin. Today I'm going to give you some tips on a bait casting reel. You know, as I've traveled around the country and fished with so many different people, I've noticed that people are afraid of a bait casting reel. They put it up due to frustration with backlash. But I know a few good tips that's going to help you get more enjoyment out of your bait casting reel. So let me show you how to get started with getting your reel adjusted. You've got your magnetic control on the left, and I like to take a fairly heavy lure like this spinnerbait here. It's about a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait. I like to reel it up and hold my rod directly out and loosen everything up pretty good and push the button on my reel and let it fall free. It fell a little fast that time. It started off slow and progressively got faster. That tells me that it's not adjusted correctly yet. So I'm going to reel it up again, and I'm going to take this dial and maybe go halfway. And I'm going to do the same fall again. It did better. It started to fall slow and it sped up. I still need to tighten it up just a little bit more, so I'm going to tighten it over just a little bit more, push the button down again, and fall. Now that time it fell pretty steady the entire time. That tells me I'm real close to having my reel adjusted. The next thing I'm going to do is start making some casts. Now you're ready to get started trying to cast it. But always keep in mind that you're going to have to constantly adjust your reel throughout the day depending on your bait size and the wind direction. If you're casting into the wind, you're going to want to tighten up your brake and your magnetic control a little bit. And if you're throwing with the wind, you can loosen it up to get a little extra distance. The other important thing when you cast is being smooth with your cast. The worst mistake you can make is go back and stop. I like to do one fluid motion the entire time. You go back and go smooth forward. If you go back too fast and stop, and then go forward too fast, you'll create too much speed on the spool and not enough speed on your lure. So with those tips, I guarantee you're going to get a lot more enjoyment out of your bait casting reel.
Larry, a lot of young guns in this event, but one angler's fished with you for quite a while. That's Buford, Georgia's Mickey Bruce.
Mickey Bruce, a good friend of mine and a great fisherman. And this morning I was with him on his first 3 stops.
Let's take a look now. Larry Nixon talking to Mickey Bruce on the water.
Right now I'm out here with Mickey Bruce, and he's consistently been on good fish all week. His partner yesterday won the amateur side with 13 pounds, and he's caught good quality fish all week. And Mickey, if you would, tell me a little bit about how deep you've been fishing and the different types of baits you've been throwing.
Well, I got a couple of patterns been working so far this week. I've been catching some good quality fish on a big DD22 crankbait, not many, you know, a couple of each day. But as the tournament has went on, from the fishing pressure and the fronts coming through, the fish have gradually got deeper and deeper, and I've had to resort to a shaky head. I'm throwing a brush hog shaky head. It's a Fred's head, it's what it's known, with a full-length zoom trick worm on it. And the other style is a drop shot. This drop shot can cover a lot more water, and I can keep it on bottom a little bit better. And it's just an old brown worm with a chartreuse belly on it. But the problem is keeping up with these fish. They kind of roam around and chase the bait. And if you rely on one little spot on an area, you're going to be lost out because the fish can constantly move. So what I'm trying to do this morning is see where they moved to. There was a whole school of fish here yesterday.
That's one of the things that you have to contend with when you're fishing for spotted bass on these rivers and lakes, is they tend to move around a lot. And you know, a good deep water fisherman, he just keeps hunting them, and that's what Mickey's doing right here, throwing that drop shot. He's got 4 or 5 places, structure places, that he's fishing, and he's catching a lot of his bigger fish on a DD22, which is a big deep diving crankbait. And then he's having to resort to either a Carolina rig or a drop shot or what we call a shaky head, which is a jig head type worm. And he's mainly fishing for spotted bass. And if you can't get the bigger fish to hit that crankbait, then he drops back to that worm or the drop shot, and that's how he catches his other fish.
Well, Larry, Mickey Bruce didn't win, but he has had an outstanding career. He's been in the top 10 a number of times.
Mickey is a great fisherman, and he loves to fish structure.
All right, I'm ready to talk more to our winner, Luke Clausen, who won this event. $500,000. That's coming up next. Larry talks with Luke Clausen on FLW Outdoors. What a day in Birmingham at the FLW Championship, and what a day for Luke Clausen from Spokane, Washington. Larry Nixon, $500,000 winner, Luke Clausen.
I'll tell you what, he fished a great tournament. He pulled 2 out of that live well that I didn't dream he had in there after being with him this morning. I followed him for about an hour this morning, and he was, I think he had a little jitters.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was more nervous about the $500,000 or Larry Nixon watching me try to fish.
Oh, shoot, that's why I said, I'm going straight in there, and we're going to do our interview, and I'm going to leave him alone because I know it's got to be bothering him a little bit. Well, I want to know your pattern. You did such a good job catching them fish all week, and I kind of know what kind of docks you was fishing, but tell us just a little bit about what pound test line and your lure and the depth of water that you were really keying on.
Really, when it was sunny, I was fishing shallower docks, probably 6 to 8 feet at the end of them, at the maximum. And a lot of flat bank docks that came out of ways that were piers with a lot of shade cover. I was fishing a little 1/8 and 16th ounce jig heads on a little prototype finesse worm with 6 and 8 pound Sunline fluorocarbon line. Skipping it way back up under there. A lot of them, when it got real sunny in the afternoon, I'd catch them way in the backs. The morning was probably the easiest time to catch them because you could go just along the back side of the dock, and they were always on the shallow pilings, and they were real aggressive. They'd hit it on the fall.
Now, when you talk about a prototype worm, is that kind of like a little finesse worm, a little hand pour?
Yeah, it's not a hand pour, but it's like that. It's a little straight tail worm, about 4 inches long.
What color?
Green pumpkin. Just
Green
kept
pumpkin.
it simple.
I might know that everything in Alabama eats green pumpkin. But the light head, now, that had to be a key, because I know you were fishing around probably 2 or 3 that were of really good fishermen, and yet you caught fish behind them.
Yeah, every day. There's so much pressure on this lake. I was fishing behind people every day, locals and tournament guys, and I really felt that was key. There were certain docks that I'd caught them on before and knew that I could go with that 6-pound line and 16th ounce head on those docks after I fished the heavier stuff and get 1 or 2 more bites.
I guarantee you that 16th ounce head made a big difference. I just know that because I know how these fish in this lake are. Anytime they suspend, a lot of times that slower fall down through that suspending column, and they'll bite it.
Right. I was getting probably 1/4 of my bites on the fall, and a lot of them immediately after it hit the bottom. I don't know if those are fish that followed it down or not. I guess the first day I probably had half of my bites on the fall. That was really evident they were suspended. You'd cast out there and your line would immediately be racing off or else back under the dock.
Your sack of fish was 14-10, which would have been the best all week. Did you think you had it won?
I thought I had about 13 and a half coming in here. I was so scared. I had one 13-incher I couldn't call all day. I tried and I could never get rid of it, and I thought for sure that was going to hurt me. I broke off 2 fish trying to call that one, and I thought, well, if there's any reason I'm not going to win, it's because of that.
How did you break off 2 fish and not break that one I seen you get out of that dock?
I really don't know, because the 2 I broke off
hook
were
set?
Open water. One was on the hook set, and the other one I was reaching down to get the net, and I was just holding steady pressure on it, and it just broke off. I don't know. These spots' his teeth are just violent on the spots here.
Oh, yeah.
I think with that light line, it just wears after a while, because I have to retie after every fish. It just gets worn above the head if they eat it very good.
Right. No, they do have sandpaper teeth. I know how that is.
For some reason, these are like little piranhas down there. My hands are just tore up. I've been bleeding all day long from lifting those things.
You don't care, though, do you?
Oh, not a bit. It was well worth it.
What a day for Luke Clausen. Congratulations, $500,000. Let's take a look now. Here's how he did it. Luke Clausen, the final day at the FLW Championship. The early momentum belonged to Anthony Gagliardi. Mo was about to swing Luke Clausen's way. The rookie from the West Coast finds a boat dock pattern and, using a light jig head and green pumpkin finesse worm, pulls in 4 fish in 13 minutes to get his limit. This one goes 4 pounds.
That's the kind of bites I need. I get 1 or 2 more of those, it'll be a done deal.
Does that change your mood considerably?
Oh yeah, well, I've just been trying to stay relaxed. I keep thinking about how much money this is and keep getting real nervous.
Scott Martin has gone way upriver to fish a jig, and that produces his 4th fish and a 5-pound total.
I'm coming, guys. Y'all better catch him.
Clausen again with number 6, boosting him to 11.5 pounds. Now he's culling and starting to feel a bit of pressure.
I got a lot of time left, but I'm realizing to catch, if I can catch 4 decent ones, I'd take it and go home right now.
It's Clausen, Gagliardi, Jimmy Millsaps, and Mickey Bruce. A bit later, Millsap's day is highlighted by catching a nice fish off a boat dock. Literally. He gets the fish and then watches as the 2x6 and his rod sink out of sight.
I got another rod. I ain't got another 3-pounder.
Bruce uses a jig head worm to climb above the 10-pound mark and keep his hopes alive.
That is exactly what I saved this spot right here for in the last day. Is that one right there.
But the championship comes down to a 3-way race between Gagliardi, Martin, and Clausen. Gagliardi saves one from a dock on the way to a 13.7 total and the lead. Clausen has the same problem and goes in after a 4-pounder. What he'd later learn was the biggest catch of his career, and now he's in front. Minutes later, Martin catches 2 nice keepers and pulls to within 6 ounces of Clausen. Both pros know they have a chance to win.
The Lord blessed me today, unbelievable. I'm real happy with today, and we'll just have to see how it all works out. It's a good bag. It's a good bag. Did everything I could do. I didn't miss any fish. Fished like a champion. I'm proud of myself.
I'm so afraid. All I can think about is that one I broke off, but I'm also so excited that I could have just won $500,000. It's just crazy. God. This is going to be the longest 3 hours or whatever till we weigh in.
The next time you see Luke Clausen, ask him if the wait was worth it. Luke Clausen, your career earnings in the FLW just went from $31,000 to $531,000. Raising that check had to be a thrill.
Oh, it was incredible. Just in amazement. It really still hasn't sunk into me yet. That's an incredible amount of money for somebody my age, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
How old were you when you won your first event, Larry?
Oh, me, I won a BASS in 1978, but it wasn't nowhere near this amount. Have you got any major bills that you've got to pay off, or is this pretty much just a big start?
Just a big start.
Holy cow, how great can it be?
There's your winner, Luke Clausen from Spokane, Washington. More to come on FLW Outdoors.
Don't get no better than that, does it?
We're back in Birmingham, Alabama, site of the 2004 FLW Championship. Taylor Carr with Larry Nixon, rejoined now by Carlton Wing. And you saw one dramatic weigh-in, Carlton.
I tell you, one of the great parts about this job is being able to see the close-ups and the facial expressions on the winner. And I will never forget the look on Luke Clausen's face when he realized he had won. I tell you what, he looked around, he had tears in his eyes, a big smile on his mouth. And later on, he told me, I didn't know whether I was supposed to laugh or cry. He had all those emotions just swirling in his head. head. A very emotional victory for Luke.
He didn't think he had 14-10.
No, it was a surprise for him, and he was sweating it out when Scott Martin pulled out that last fish. It was close enough that he knew it was going to be within ounces. 6 ounces determined the champion.
Larry, you've been on stage for those moments before.
You just don't realize what a young fisherman feels when he wins an event like that and that much money and knows that his career is set for the next few years.
$500,000 will pay a lot of bills, won't it? It'll keep him going for a good long time.
Even at my age, it'll pay a lot of bills.
All right, well, let's go to our last Ask a Pro of the year. Blake Doster of Helena, Arkansas writes, what conditions are best for a deep-running crankbait? Well, we'll go to Land O'Lakes pro Keith Williams.
Thanks. That's a great question. One of the things I like to look for when I'm fishing a deep diving crankbait is to have a good hard bottom, a good a rocky bottom, gravel, or maybe even a mussel shell bed. I like to throw a crankbait that'll run deep enough to hit the bottom and bounce off the rocks and act erratically along the bottom. I've had great success using this technique. Last year on Lake Wheeler, it was in June, post-spawn, and I was using my deep diving crankbait technique to fish an area that was 10 feet deep. It was a mussel shell bed, and I was using a crankbait that was designed to run much deeper than that. And I would throw it out, let it bounce off the bottom real well, made sure I maintained good contact with the bottom, and when I felt it come across the drop, that's when most of my strikes occurred.
All season long, we have tried to capture the behind-the-scenes images from the FLW Tour. This year at the FLW Championship, no different. The prestige, the pageantry, and the sheer fun are here in this week's Fuji Fine Pick segment. The FLW Championship is all about fun. So much fun, the Birmingham Convention Center was packed. The Fuji Trout Pond is always a popular attraction for the kids, as is the BF Goodrich remote control track. Now on the convention floor, you can buy anything from a new pair of Solar Bat sunglasses to a new bass boat. As for the tournament itself, the morning of championship day brought our 12 finalists together for the final preparations. Anthony Gagliardi ties on a crankbait. Banana Boat pro Kevin Vida works on his jig. And Larry Nixon talks with Mickey Bruce about the day ahead. When it came time to launch, BF Goodrich pro Scott Martin gave the thumbs up. And only one other angler had a better day than Martin. He was the one holding the big checkup. Spokane, Washington's Luke Clausen. In this week's Rookie Report, we start with the Rookie of the Year, and not coincidentally Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year, Shinichi Fukai, who finished 14th. Next was Glenn Brown, the Ocala, Florida native, who finished the championship in 10th place. As for the top rookie performance, well, there was that guy from Spokane again. Luke Clausen won it all. $500,000 should set up his second season on the tour rather nicely. At each event on the FLW Tour, you, the viewer, get to select our Eagle Claw hook set of the Tournament Award, and here's your winner from Lake Champlain, the final regular season event of the FLW Tour. Thanks for logging on to FLWOutdoors.com to select the Eagle Claw Hook Set Award. Your winner from Lake Champlain is BF Goodrich pro David Walker. He was right in the middle of an interview with our own Larry Nixon when David brought home a big one.
There's a fish now.
For his catch, Eagle Claw will present David Walker with a $1,000 Walmart gift card. Congratulations to BF Goodrich pro David Walker. Now here are our nominees for the FLW Tour Championship here at Logan Martin. You can take part in the Eagle Claw Hook Set of the Day Award. Log on to FLWOutdoors.com between now and this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Vote for the angler you think had the best hook set. The pro with the most votes wins a $1,000 Walmart shopping card presented by Eagle Claw. Nominee number 1 comes from an exuberant BF Goodrich pro, Scott Martin, who knew this fish would get him near the top of the leaderboard.
Bow! That's what I'm talking about.
Nominee number 2, Jimmy Millsaps, catches more than a big fish on this hook set. He also catches what's left of a 2x6. In the end, Millsaps nets the fish and not the board. Our third nominee is co-angler Jeff Stegner, who hooks a small fish and then gets a real close view. Real close. Log on to FLWOutdoors.com and pick your winner. Well, guys, there is a lot to do here at the FLW Championship. A lot of great fishing and a lot of great things for the fans to do as well. We had a packed house here for the weigh-in, but we've had packed and standing room only crowds all through the convention center here for this boat show as well.
It really was. There was something for all the kids to do and plenty of family events and lots of nice boats to look at, and it was a great time for everybody.
The FLW Tour continues to set the trend for money. Fellas, next year our prize money, the purse, goes to $7.6 million. You realize, Larry, the purse has gone up $2.8 million in the last 4 years?
I hope it never stops. Maybe I'm going to win again. I'm not going to quit like Hank. I'm going to win one of these things.
50th place in every event gets at least $10,000.
What a payback. That's just absolutely awesome.
And we are all heading toward Hot Springs, Arkansas next year in July for our big championship on Lake Hamilton. Larry, near your home waters.
Yeah, but it's not one I'm real fond of. There's a lot of people live there and a lot of boat traffic. It's a small fishery, but it'll be fun.
It'll be a challenge for Larry Nixon and the rest of the anglers who qualify for the 2005 championship. We are off next to the RCL championship. We'll join you from Moline, Illinois. And then after that, the EverStart championship a little bit later on this fall. Till then, thanks for watching on FLW Outdoors.
Look at that bad boy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Who's your daddy? Whew. Man.